So stand up with the blue balls. Yeah, Hey, Vanessa. All right, what do we got here? Manage. Good. All right, so we've got our 1 hour Pilates and release class today with all the faithfuls in here. So I just sent a little photo to Denise because I thought we better try and encourage some other people to join us. It's basically, you know, the mat class, so that if you've got to go, like if it's a short lunch break, you can go. If you can only be here for 45 minutes, fine. But then the last part of the class, the last 15 minutes or 20 minutes, we do some release work, and I'm working through the body. So I'm doing some foot and calf, like lower limb today. We did some glutes and hips, and Liz did some too. So we'll sort of work up to shoulders and things like that. So grab some of the weighted balls. If you don't have these at home, you can hold on to cans of beans. You can do everything we're doing without the balls. It's just a nice, these are weighted toning balls. So standing with your feet hip distance apart, lifting the chest, drawing your shoulders down your back, and then just soften your knees so that when you start to roll down, the balls are drawing your shoulders down, you're curling, dropping your head. Now, when you get to the bottom, just make sure that your shoulders aren't up near your ears. Take another breath in and reach and curl all the way back up with the balls just staying down by your side. And we'll do that one more time. So I'm assuming you guys, you don't want fans on. It's going to get a bit stuck. It was stuffy, wasn't it, last time? So the other thing we can do is open the door if it gets a bit stuffy. Good. So do one more of those. Worked out the fans, everybody. You just press them once, you don't keep pressing them to try and get them to turn on. You just give them time. Funny that, isn't it? All right, so then bring the arm weights forward and bend your knees and then stand. So from the side, it's bending and straightening. So imagine you're lying down on a mat and you're lifting and lowering your arms, and your knees are in front of you, and the mat would be like a wall behind you. Just make sure those knees come forward. Ken, you could probably step your feet in a little closer and just track your knees forward. Bend, straighten. So notice the relationship with your core moving your arms. When you bring your arms out in front of you, you're using your core to lift your arms. On the next one, hold your arms up in front of you, knees bent, turn your palms up, bend the knees, bend the elbows, just small pulses. Bend, straighten, bend, straighten. So we've got a little bit of a standing warm up today, everybody, before we come down onto the mat. Always translating all the great Pilates core work into standing. At the end of the day, that's where we spend hopefully more of our time than laying down on our back. But from that last movement, take your elbows wide, bring your heels together and straighten the legs, straighten the arms, bend your knees, bend your elbows. So just watch on that move before you don't overarch your back. So connect your ribs and your hips. So ribs drawing down towards the hips. Now, when you've got your arms up here, relax your shoulders. We missed you, Ken. Have you been, did you sneak up north? I was away last, I was up north last. I snuck up in my van. I had to get there and my flights were cancelled. I didn't sneak, it was all legal. I got a permit. Good. All right, so hold it there. Tree hug in and then open and then lift. Good. See, now we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel with this music, aren't we? It's a bit tragic. These aren't necessarily my favourites. These are just achievable, maybe. No, this was too depressing. I didn't ever do this one. Yeah, this is my brain. It's really tragic. I have got the sad songs. Good. That was when I told you that, didn't I, Paul? When he said, what do you want to play? And I said, really sad songs. So, all right, one more. Good. 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 And then down. Oh, they get heavy, don't they? It's good. All right, so turning to come down onto the mat. So cross your right leg behind your left, arms in front of you. And just like you were standing, we're now translating the work to the mat, holding on to the weights, reaching overhead, lifting your arms up, tucking your chin in and curling all the way up and over. Good. I can't bear it. Good. Good. Up and over. Squeeze your legs. I think you could have a competition for it. He could probably pick the next song. Bob Dylan, Neil Young, Leaving on a Jet Plane. All the ones where it's just a Dina G. Dina G. Good. And roll back.
I had this song collection of books, which is almost serious. Had a sort of folk people there in each or tragic lives.
One more like this and then we'll stay at the bottom. I hope this isn't being all recorded. Hope Denise can just edit some of it. All right, stay down everybody with your arms above your shoulders, knees bent. And when we come into neutral spine, just take the time to check that you're, even if you've got to pick your head up and have a look at your knees, feet, knees, hips. As you pelvic curl up, press the arms down to the mat. Lift your hips to the ceiling and then reverse it. Curl down and lift the arm weights back up. Breathing out, pressing the arms down and lifting the hips up. And then rolling back down. So it's that articulation of the spine. And when you get to the top, it's that press up evenly through your feet, inner thigh, inner core, and your shoulders stay wide as you reverse it and roll your spine down, lifting your arms. Two more. Good. Remember to roll your pelvis out when it touches the ground. So rather than keeping your hips towards you, roll the pelvis away from you and get the little gap in the lower back. So on the last one with your hips lifted and hands down by your side, press the pelvis up and down, just pulsing. Press. Now just press the palms of your hands onto the balls to open the collarbones. Engage the back of the arms. Good. Big toes into the ground, everybody, like you're squeezing a ball, which you're about to do with your knees. Good. Now take a breath out and roll your spine down. Once your tailbone rolls away from you. So this movement through the pelvis there, let's just call this like a clock, and this is 6 and 12 on the clock. So when you put the balls underneath your hip sacroiliac joints where the pelvis meets the sacrum, you're tipping the pelvis, I'll move my hands out of the way so you can see, towards you, and the balls roll under you and then away from you. So the difficulty is to do that without your ribs flaring. So try and isolate that movement to your lower back. So can move the balls down more. That's it. So even lower. So it's not, the balls aren't in your lower back. They're in the sacroiliac joint, which is closer to your pelvis. So this movement with the pelvic curl, or a clock 6 to 12, hold your pelvis in neutral. Now you do 3 to 9. You press onto the right ball, come back to center, press onto the left ball. It's a subtle movement. And the trick is to do it without moving your knees. So it's just your pelvis that is rotating one way and then the other way. The ribs don't move. Good. And I'd still take the balls lower, Ken, so that you're not so, see how overarched you are on your lower back? Tip the pelvis towards you a little bit. Yeah. Now, press your right hip into the right ball, your left hip into the left ball. That pivoting rotational move is the one that I often reference. It might be hard to relate to this, but it's a pivotal move in walking. So when you're stride and your legs coming behind you, the pelvis goes back and then forward rather than hitching to your hip. So the space between your hip bones and your ribs stays the same. All right, now come back to neutral. Pubic bone towards the chin a little bit more and float the left knee up in the air and then float the right. So just like you would with a ball or bolster under you, we're going to do our toe taps. Tap down and up. So the lovely thing about having these nice toning balls under you is it's quite a nice soft surface, but it is a little more unstable. So you've got to work a bit harder in the core. And when the hips are elevated, it's easier to find the core muscles rather than the back muscles. So I always love doing this series here. So after you've done 2 more toe taps, if you want to take double legs down for the next 6, you can. Breathe out, go slowly, down and up. You've doubled the load, so don't race it. And remember, it's your inner core being able to draw in. Watch any tension in your shoulders and ribs. Breathing out through the mouth. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Inhale through the nose. Last one. And then hold your left knee in towards your chest. Stretch your right leg away. Now, is everyone happy with the balls under their hips? Because if you don't have them at home, you could put a block, a bolster, a roller, or nothing, and then change. So we're going to do some long-legged work now in this position. So lift both legs up straight, roll your thighs out, just like you did with your single legs. Take one leg down to the ground, the other leg stays still, and then pick it up. Change sides. So you've got the option of doing it bent leg. Rather than scissoring the top leg back, keep the top leg still. Take the bottom leg away from the top leg together. Change. Lower and lift. Good. Lower and lift. Lower. Good. Lift. Up. Lower. Lift. 2 more. Good. And now with the same thing, but taking it out to the side. Right leg, it's harder. Keep the left leg still. You've got the reference of the ball. When you take your left leg away, keep your right leg still. So what tends to happen here is the leg that is behind wants to drift off to the side to help you balance. So move slowly and work on the stabilizing side. Slightly turn your thigh out of the leg that is in the air and hold it straight. Out and in. You're making that look easy, everybody. No, good. Never complain in this room, do you? It's not like the right complaining vibe, is it? It's too beautiful in to complain. All right, so anchor your tailbone down a little bit more, so don't lift it up off the balls. Let's take both legs down, hold it, bend your knees to the side, small frogs, and then press your legs away and squeeze. Now, the lower you go with your legs, the harder it is on your core. So obviously, if you're finding you can't hold your belly to your spine, lift the legs up higher. That's it. Now, when the knees go wide, the feet don't collapse down. So watch here, Ken. The knees go wide It's not dropping of the feet. The heels always stay above the knee line. Knees wide. When you press away, squeeze the thighs and then bend. Exhale, squeeze. Bend and squeeze. Bend. Excellent. And squeeze. Good. Hold your knees bent. Take your legs out wide. Squeeze and lower both heels together. So you bend in, open wide, squeeze together, bend in and open. Good. That should feel fantastic. Maybe not so fantastic if you're going low and it's incredibly challenging on the core, but it feels fantastic through your hips. And it's the big frog, we call it in Pilates, or it might also be breaststroke to you. Change direction, out first. Bend the knee heels together. Press away. Open. Good. Bend. And press. 2 more. Open. Good. Last one. Good. All right, everybody. So legs up high, just let them drop down. So you've got the weight in the balls there, and then scissor your legs here and reach up to hold the top ankle. So you're getting a hamstring stretch. Gently pulse that top leg in twice, then switch and change. So switch and change. Now, it doesn't matter how high or how far you bring the leg. It's really about that alignment and length. So try not to pull the leg in where you're bending your knee. So keep your thigh active. 2 pulses with the top leg and change. 2 pulses, change. Last one. Good. And then bend both knees all the way in. Great. Good, everybody. Now, from here, just take the balls and roll them out of the way and roll your back down onto the mat as you turn your knees towards me. So place one ball between your knees. Place the other ball under your top hand and your bottom arm under your head. So you're lifting your top arm up. Breathe out and open out. If it's too much with a weight on the end of your arm, just drop the weight. Breathing in, lift the arm, and then close the body. So with the squeeze of the ball here, feet are together too, Ken. So you want to try and keep the bottom half of your body stacked and square. Turn back and open. Lift up and close. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Good. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. Good. All right, so hold your arm here. So with the squeeze of the ball here, try and think about that's what's keeping your hip in line here. So I'm just going to move this ball out of the way and you're going to bring your legs back in line here. So when you lift your heels are together, and when you lift your knee, the ball will just sort of move out of the way. So that just is totally fine. When you press your hips forward, keep the heels together. Good. And then straighten, bend, and imagine you've got the ball there and you're squeezing it. So lift. So it's that alignment of when you roll your thigh out and bend the knee in, it should come back to the heel. Then the knee should come back above the bottom knee. So you're not, if you find when you reverse, you've got to make adjustments. You've probably moved your thigh around too much. It's in the hip socket. Open the hip, extend the foot, bend the knee and close. And close. Good. Lift, straighten, bend, down. 2 more. Now, hold your leg out straight on that angle and tap down and up. So it's that turn out, toe and knee face the ceiling, and you're lifting and lowering. Just watch that you're not lifting with your quad. So roll your thigh out and lift. Good. Lift with the back side. Good. And up. Ribs connected.
That's good, guys.
Yeah. What's that? Yeah.
That's good, guys.
Yeah. Good. Good. So now take your leg back, turn the thigh in, and you're lifting and lowering. So this is a different angle of the glute. So you've got the 3 different angles, like the big glute max, the glute med, which is more around the side, and then a glute minimus. So sometimes we use the big glute muscle, but often in Pilates, we're trying to use this side lateral muscle. Relax your head down. Now, what you'll notice with this next move, when I roll you onto tummy, it's more glute, the big glute muscle, not so much the side. So place your hand and actually roll your upper body out, turn your back thigh out and lift and lower, just so you can experience that that's the bigger glute muscle. Take it behind you more, roll your thigh out. Now lift and lower. Yeah. That's it. So keep bringing your hip a bit more forward, Ken. So your top hip's facing the ground. That's it. Yeah. Good. Good. And 4 more. Good. Now bend your knee, take hold of your foot, press your quad forward, place your bottom knee, your foot onto your knee and sort of pull it back. So open your shoulder out. This is like my dream song to play one day. So hard. I bet Paul can play it, can't he? Okay, so place your knees down and sit yourself up, bringing the balls. Good. So sit both hip bones down, hold the balls up. Good, now take it up and over towards the bent knee. Or towards the feet. Yeah, sorry, they're both bent, aren't they? Good, and then up. The great thing about having some weight at the end of your arms, besides it's harder, it gives you that sense of the lift up and over, like a bit of feedback. You can't be so floppy, otherwise the ball hits you. So you've got to hold and be active in the top arm. It can't flop. So you lift up and over. Good. Now come under on the side where your feet aren't. Come under. So come back to face me. So just when you lay on your side, we started off with our chest opener. So flip your body over so you're still facing forward. Good. All right, so align yourself. This one, your shins are at the front of the mat. Lift the top arm up. Now breathe out. Relax your head in your hands. Bring your knees to me and take your arm away from me. Then you lift the body up into a side position and then close it. So make sure that your head goes with your arm. So otherwise it'll just be such an strain on your shoulder. So at this point here, this is where it becomes a spinal rotation. So I'm opening my spine and my chest to the ceiling. And then now my spine and chest face me, and then my arm moves. So initially it's just my arm, and then it becomes my spine, which takes my arm back. And then I lift the arm and then close it off. Well done. Do 2 more like that. Inhale up, exhale. Karen, we worked hard on Monday. Did Paul tell you? Good. Last one, stay back there. Good. Excellent. Now, when you come back, just move the ball out of the way. Bring your heels back. Good. Reposition your hips. Your feet are in line with your tailbone, and you lift the knee up. Good. And then you bring it back. Try and get that roll out of the top thigh, and it's the glute that you're activating. So you have to keep your hip facing me. That's why I like to put my hand here. As soon as you get to there and you want to go further, try not to move the hip back. Good. So this is the one that I probably find it makes the biggest difference when you just make that micro adjustment. So Karen, you could probably bring your heels back a little further. How are we going with the temperature? Do you want the door open or any air on? It's okay. The door open. Yeah. Yeah, it just gets a bit like you said, Paul, on Monday. Like a little sauna. Oh, see, that's nice, isn't it? Is that okay for you, Vanessa? How's your week been? Good. All right, so now we open up the leg. So it's the extension from the knee. So there, and then bend, and again, there, and bend. So try not to move the thigh around initially. Just do this movement, and then we'll combine them. So at that point there, so Paul, imagine the ball still between your knees. So this is what we tend to do. You sort of kick out and move your thigh. The thigh doesn't move, it stays there. So knee faces up, toes face up. That's it. So then we combined extension and then close. So up, extend, bend, close. Up, extend, bend, close. 2 more. Good. Now hold your legs straight, down and up. Good. Down and up. Hold your hips still. Good. Roll the thigh out so knee and toe faces the ceiling. It doesn't have to come high. It's about finding the length and then the lift and reach. So it's lengthen and lift. Good. Good. Now take the leg back, turn it in, tap down and up. Down, up. Internal rotation at your hip. Good. Good. And 3, 2. Now, come onto the body a bit more. Good, you can even put your hands here and do 8 lifts there. But this time your thighs rolled out. So that's that bigger glute muscle. Good, so it's hard to roll it out with your hip forward, but it's down and up. And if you send the messages to the muscle that you want to work, it will also work and engage more. So it's 5. And notice if one side felt weaker than the other. Often that's the case. You've got a more dominant side, which is fine if you're aware of it. It's sometimes just a muscle patterning. So when you finish that one, bend your knee, take your quad forward, your bottom foot pulls your knee down and open up through there. How did you go, everybody? Did you feel that work? Yeah, and the difference in the muscles of the glutes? Yeah. Good, so pulling it back.
True what you said about the glutes. I was having a massage once.
Coming up, yeah.
The woman said, you've got 2 different bottoms.
Thank you. Okay, so up and over towards your feet side first. Oh, that's, yeah, it's quite often the case, Ken, and usually you just don't probably even know. Good. So arms wide, lift the ball. Feel the side stretch. Drop the bottom shoulder. You got a cramp, Karen? Ah, well, that's perfect timing because today we're releasing feet and lower limbs. Not just yet. And then come under. So we're facing the mat with the balls and we're going to keep coming around onto our hands and knees, but our hands stay on the balls. So once again, as soon as you've got a surface that isn't stable, the little stabilizing muscles have to work a bit more. Pull the tummy up and then from here, press into the left ball and the right arm comes out in front of you and then down and change. So this is just to set the position up. Just once and out, change. If that feels all right, then from there, you're going to take your right knee back behind you, press evenly into the balls. And then bring your knee in and change sides. So when you keep your upper body stable, you have to work much harder through your obliques. Bring your body forward of the balls. That's it, and change. One leg out. Lift the belly up, push away from the balls, and then in and change. Good, one more each side. Good, last one. Good. Now curl under like a cat and roll yourself all the way up and bring the balls with you. Lift your arms up in front of you. So when your thighs stretch back, you can put the balls down if it's too much and then squeeze and up. And if it's too much on your knees, put a cushion under your knees. So just watch who can, when you sit back, don't bend at the hips. So straight line from your knees up through to the hips, to the shoulders, to the ears. So it's a lot of stretch through the thigh. It's called thigh stretch, but it's actually thigh work. See if you can find your inner thigh and glutes. Now, on the next one, turn your palms the other way for 5 more this way. So inner thigh and glutes. Now press your pelvis forward to come up. Just check that you're not disconnecting with your ribs and hips. Ribs and hips stay in the same relationship, so you're not bending in your lower back. Last one. Good, good. And then hands down. All right, let's lay on our tummy. We'll do a bit of back extension. So without the balls, lay down. I thought I got Big Kim. All right, so when you're lying down, you're going to come into your diamond press position where your chest is lifted and you're holding it here. Take a breath in and lift the belly up and straighten your right leg up off the ground. And then down and change. So imagine you've got even weight on both hip bones. When you change to the other leg, your other hip doesn't roll in. So if you've got weakness on one side, you might find when you pick up the opposite leg, the opposite hip rolls in. So you've almost got to imagine you're pulling your pubic bone up towards your chin. So it's a slight tuck under. Good. If it's too much on your lower back, being in this lifted position, you can put your head in your hands. If not, try both legs lifting. Now swim, one leg, other leg, one leg, other leg, in, out, breathe in, out. Relax your shoulders down. You should almost be able to hover your arms up like this and it not cause a problem. So that tells you if you're being light enough on your arms. So that's really good surfing one, Paul. Don't bend your knees, inner thigh. I know, but have a look at them. That's it. So go lower. Don't even lift your feet. So that's it. Reach. That was it. Good. From the crease of the backside. Good. And then relax down. So it's amazing like how much you use your outer back muscles for that position. But the more you can lift your tummy and use your core and think length rather than height. Otherwise you bend. So try it one more time. Let's add the arms in if you prefer, or not prefer, but if want to. So I don't think anyone prefers swimming. And down, change sides. When you lift your arm, do you lift your body? So you're aiming to not do that. You're aiming to lift from the back of your arm and down and change. Back of the arm. Lift. Good. Lift. Up. Good. Excellent. Now the last set is arms and legs up and we speed the pace up. So it's kicking. Two more breaths in and out. And then bring your hands under your shoulders and lift up. And then round your back. So it's tough, that swimming stuff. I don't know anyone that doesn't find it tough. Like, you know, you can be a surfer and spend hours on a board and do that and it's still hard because you're using the right muscles. So let's flip the body over. We're going to come into our hundreds. We're going to finish off with a little bit of a challenge before we come on to our releasing work, because then Vanessa will be ready to go. So just without the weights, you've got your knees in the air. We'll do a few preparation and come into hundreds. Arms lift up, overhead. Breathe out to curl up and look between your thighs. Inhale down. Exhale, curl up. Now, when you curl up, straighten both legs away from you. Bend your knees and go back down. Exhale, curl up and stretch. Inhale down. One more prep and then we'll stay up there. If you need to support your head, support your head. Here we go. In, 2, 3, 4, 5 and out. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, out. In, out. In, out. In, out. In, out. So you're halfway through. Lower the legs for the challenge. Make the arm beats bigger. Really good positions, everybody. Your last 20, lower that little bit more. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower both legs all the way down. Lower your head down and just turn your head from side to side. That's it. And then the other side. So just a little bit of oblique work before we come into our release. Picking your knees back up, curling up, taking hold of your left knee, and then we're going to do single and then we'll go for crisscross. So align your legs first, outside hand to outside ankle, and then your other hand on top of the knee to hold you up. And we go quicker. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Now hold your knee bent, hand behind your head. Crisscross. 1, 2, 3. Feet up level with your knees, so don't let your feet drop. Good, and point your legs. So reach through the toes. That's it, and point and reach. 2 more. Good, good. Now hug both knees in, curl the body up. So you're going to reach arms and legs away and spiral and in. Just 4 more. One more. And then hold on to your knees and roll yourself up. You can put your hands behind your knees if you need the help. Hold your balance. Hold your balance. Good. Look towards your tummy and just roll out. Look to your tummy. And hold it here. Good. And then feet down. Well done. Good, Vanessa. So we're going to grab our red balls, the harder little ball, and release your calves and ankles. Actually, if you could all grab a block, that's a really good tool. There's some in the back room. Would you grab me one if you get them in the back room, Paul? Thanks. And maybe Karen one, if we can, like, you know, stretch it that far. So at home, I've got a hard handball. That's a great tool to release all the little, thank you, all the little muscles between the bones of the feet and up and down through the ankles and calves. It's too hard for some other big fleshy spots, and the block is a great tool too, which you can do that if you don't have one. So facing me, let's start off with your right leg in front, the bent leg, and it's the right leg that we're going to release. And see how I've got, the reason that I've got the block there is to put more pressure into the ball. So you could do this with the floor, like if it's too hard to get into this position. All right, so already without even moving, you're stripping along. So you've got to kind of work, what's that? Behind. Yeah, behind. So this is like quite, it's not a big strip, like it's only the distance of the block, like you might want to start up one. It's really hard to work around the side of the shin. Like you can't really roll that with a big roller, and with you, it's very sensitive. It's yeah. See you later, Vanessa. I find when I massage people, really all I'm teaching you to do is what I do when I massage people that you can do yourself now. Now it's you know, like it's a matter of imagining this is like all the spaghetti in the pot stuck together. And I've said, pull it all apart and let the water and the blood flow through so it'll cook perfectly. Yeah. So that's why now we're going up and down the strands of spaghetti or muscle fibers. And then you've got the one where you go forward and back over it. So there's a difference there, isn't it? Where you come forward and back. So if you've had ankle injuries, and a lot of people have lower limb injuries, and they take ages to heal because they're at the lower end of the body and they can't get all the blood flow through them. And that's what this is so useful for. Yeah, so then, oh, like it's sensitive. Yeah. In a moment when we do the calves, it's like that's a big, brutal kind of ouch, but this is sort of more like you said, electric. So change it here. Yeah. So you've got, you know, and how you're doing it is good too, Paul. Like you can actually sort of hold your leg and do that. And sort of almost like you're driving, you know, you're the driver of this movement. And it's actually good because it's also releasing in your hip socket. And if you sit straight and upright, there's actually a Pilates move we do on the Pilates reformer bed for sacroiliac joints where that's resting on a bit of wood and you're going and you're doing that. So you can sort of double it up. Like everything in Pilates, strength and stretch and release and mobilize and yeah. And Paul's like biting the tongue. You gotta stay relaxed, Paul. Have you got some good spots in there? Oh, just when you think you're on it, go up a bit further to the trigger point halfway up the side of your shin. Yeah. Now, with trigger points that go up halfway, Karen, if you sort of go, I think that's it, it's not it. When you're on, it's like what you did, Ken, where you go, okay, that's it. That's 9 out of 10, you know, and you find it and it's like, and then you just pause on it. And sometimes with rolling and releasing, because we're working on fascia, you're better off to go kind of slow and sink into it rather than sort of breezing across the top of it. So when you go slow and deep, it's like the ball sinks in between it. As you can see, like this work here, I'm only doing little bits at a time because it takes time. Like that's only that section. Just when you don't, yeah. And if you have had rolled ankles, broken ankles and problems, you'd be amazed at how much scar tissue up through that anterior ligament that you hold. And that's the same as underneath the feet and all through here. So just so that we don't, I mean, I'd love to spend longer, but we'll just keep going back over it. Do the same thing with the calf. Now your option is to do it on the block or on the floor. I mean, I personally love the block. It's quite deep, but sometimes it's harder to maneuver around a block. So maybe try it without. To put a bit more body weight onto it, you can either lift your bottom up and go through the middle of your calf from the bottom of, like from your ankle to the back of your knee. One strip up. That's probably where it's harder on a block, Paul. And don't go into the back of your knee, but go from, see where the ball is there, then go back down. So that's the middle. Now, hold it here and turn your leg from your hip out and strip up the outer part of the calf. That's it. One strip, go all the way up, Karen. Keep coming up. See how high I'm getting? And notice I'm just doing one strip up, one strip back. Foot's turned out. So you don't need to go up and down, up and down, up and down. I mean, you should be going slower than what we're going. Now, roll your thigh in and do the same thing there. So that's your 3 different strands of the calf. And when you turn in that, you'll find some good trigger points there. So when you turn in, roll your foot and thigh all the way in. That's it, Paul. See that one just there? Yeah, there's a big trigger point there. Google trigger points. It's amazing. If you learn where they are, sometimes you can just go straight to them. I mean, it's great, actually. It's my only weapon to bring my big teenage, well, my big, not teenage, 20-year-olds to the ground. They give me cheek. It's like press and they crumble. I can tell you a surfer's weakest point, Karen, when they're just complaining about grumpy surf moods. You just go for the hug, press there, and they crumble in your arms. So this is one of those spots there. There's one there, there's one there, but there's a good one in through the side there. Good. All right, change legs. So first of all, remember you go through them, so legs straight, and just do one strip up through the middle of the calf. One strip all the way up, and you'll sort of stop before you get behind your knee. That's a different muscle, yeah. And it makes you realize the middle one's actually not as problematic sometimes, is it? It's quite a, yeah. And so the big chunky kind of meaty part of the calf it's often getting around the edge and in, getting in. So turn your leg in there. Yeah. Good. We can't listen to depressing music and do this. We've had enough of all my depressing guitar sad love songs. We're moving on. Paul's going to start to bring his playlist now, isn't he? Okay, we'll do some fun ones, yeah? Okay, that's better to be releasing this too. This is my 50s dance music now. Leading my 50-year-old disco party. Okay, so did you do the other one? That was the one that you found really bad, wasn't it, Paul? The outer. Yeah. So have a look at your shoes, and sometimes you'll notice that you wear more on the outside, and so you probably maybe slightly put more weight on the outside, and it pulls a bit more up to the outside. What about you, Ken? Yeah. Uh-huh. This will be so good. How about you, Karen? How's that? Yeah. How can Karen make it look so glamorous? Look at her. She's just got like it's got to be more painful than that, Karen. I might go stand on a leg here. Just put a bit more pressure. Yeah, it's sort of like, ouch, yeah, that hurts. It's like, no, Karen, well, I want you to grimace. Like I want the look that, Paul did before, where it was like grinding. Good. All right, so that is the 3 different fibers. Oh my gosh, now stand up. I mean, like you feel like you've had a calf massage. You don't realize your calves are so tight. Like a glute and hammies, you feel like they're tight. They can lay dormantly tight for ages. Now feet, 3 strips. Go big toe, middle of the foot, and outer foot. So when you do the big toe to the heel, now 1 strip up, and you've got to sink into it. So wrap your foot around it. Good. And go to your heel, and then go back the same way. And you sort of want to stand over it so you've got more pressure on it. Now then take it to the middle. This is where there's a, and also just feel that, see how I've got my heel down. Well, if you've got little feet, Karen, I'd feel that stretch, wouldn't you, Karen? Yeah. Yeah. Now, this is it, okay? This is where all the nice people swear. So go halfway, actually a little bit less than half, wrap your feet around it and press into it. And move slightly towards the middle, like the middle. And there's a big trigger point in through underneath your foot. If you're not there, go along a little bit more. Yeah. So Paul, keep going. You haven't hit it yet. You got it? Yeah. Isn't that? And Karen, because you've actually got quite high arches, don't you? No, but like when you do that, you've got like, yeah, sorry, like very flexible arches. Yeah. So you could have really strong high arch feet. They've probably just got a bit, yeah. Well, I think they get a bit, I'm not saying lazy, but weak. Yeah. So because you've got potential to have, like, I've got very high, just really strong feet, which makes for really good running because you use your feet to articulate. And it's also because I work in bare feet and Pilates is all footwork. But when you've got great feet like that, and there's, I mean, you just get weak. You don't work your feet. Yeah. And we wear shoes with lots of support, which feel fantastic, as I do too now. But yeah. So then, did you do the outer? So good. All right. So the outer for me, not so much. Sort of harder to kind of get that, isn't it? But definitely that inner. Change feet. So big toe. Yeah. So Karen, if you look, see how the boys' feet are really stiff and yours are really curled? Yeah, like you've got really flexible feet. They've just got a bit weak. So a good thing to do is you throw your towel on the ground, you pick your towel up with your feet. Yeah, like with your feet. So yeah, like that. Yeah. Yeah. I know some people are mainly, but it's like try and sort of almost pull the ground up with your feet more. Do you ever wear bare feet much? Good. Then yeah, high heels. Yeah. So are you saying she started when she was 1? Yeah. So middle, and then remember that big trigger point right in the middle. Karen, did you say you used to dance? No. Good. How's that side? Yeah. Not. Yeah. And then outer. Yeah. Yes, there you go. So these balls, I just used to give out to clients like $2 handballs. Have them in your bag because you can just release your feet, release your glutes. You know, you can travel with them. Not that we travel anymore, but yeah. So now just take your feet off the balls and just stretch your feet the other way a little bit, and then just stand there and like walk on the spot and kind of feel your feet and ankles. Like it's amazing. Your lower limb is so neglected, and it's where we contact the ground. You know what I mean? So we're always working like glutes, thighs, hamstrings, core, arms, but below the knee to the feet. Like that's the, you know, if you can be walking on the ground with, so ideally, you know, it's this articulation of the foot. And when you think about that, you know, we like I always are listening to people walk, listening to them walk. because I can hear, and I can just go, oh, too much on the right, too much on the outside. Like I can hear their feet. But you should land, like walk like you're walking on a slippery path, you know, or walking on ice, or walking on sand that you're trying, you know, deep, so you're trying not to land heavy. And when the sand's deep and you don't want to walk in the hard bit, you kind of like hold yourself here because you're trying not to sort of sink in. So if you've got articulation of your feet, it translates to this sort of a lighter footprint. And a lighter footprint means you have to be lighter. Yeah, good. All right, well, hopefully, I mean, your feet should feel great.
When we first stood up, I'm not like
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? So we will we'll keep on